You are now listening to WSN, Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
Live from Carrollton, Georgia, this is Sports Pack.
Home of the hottest takes and the best interviews in college radio.
Hold on, wait a minute. We need a little more energy. This is Sports Pack. Yeah, there we go.
Home of the hottest takes and debates.
There is no way I'm going to sit here and roll with Jared Stidham and Aiden O'Connell.
Richard.
There's just no way.
And the best interviews in college radio.
This is five-time Olympic medalist Alana Myers-Taylor.
This is Super Bowl champion quarterback Brad Johnson, and you're listening to Sports Pack on the Wolf Sports Network.
And the Wolves play here.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday edition of Sports Pack. As always, I'm your host, Richard Reed, joined by Carly Pear, Jackson Schrader, and my guy, John Howley, holding it down on the board. Also, if you peek over there to the corner, my guy Phillip is sitting back, waiting to get subbed in, cooking it up in the corner over there. He's holding it down for us. He'll be swapping in later in the show, so stay tuned to hear from him. Now, we have a jam-packed show coming up, talking about the Super Bowl, this ridiculous NBA trade deadline, big-time sports news, making our Super Bowl picks. But before we get into any of that, I got to tell you, Dine West is completely committed to offering a diverse menu that accommodates to a wide range of dietary preferences, including vegan, gluten-free, and multicultural options. Our menu changes daily, and you can view the weekly offerings on the menu for both East and West Commons at westga.edu/dinewest. Also, let me tell you, once again, college students who binge drink alcohol at least 3 times per week, yes, 3 times per week, people out here doing that, I don't know who. Some might be at this table. I'm not sure. But if they do that, they are roughly 6 times more likely to perform poorly on a test or a project as a result of that drinking. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined forces with Wolf Sports Network and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign to remind students drinking should be done responsibly and in an environment that discourages overindulging. Faculty will not take hangovers as excuses. Now, like I said a second ago, we got a jam-packed show, but as always, we got to start off with some West Georgia sports.
Is Widener rolls to the right. He's got some time. Everybody's down at the end zone. He heaves it, and it is caught for a touchdown.
We are one. Go Wolves.
We are indeed one. And our Division I men's basketball team had a big-time conference game last night at home versus Lipscomb University. Now, I got to tell you, the game was super entertaining. We went up pretty solid in the first half, 40-33. But as always, common theme with this season, we let go in the second half, getting outscored by Lipscomb 43-27 in the second half of the game.
Bad.
Yeah, man, it was really disappointing.
That's not good.
Lipscomb has the leading scorer in the ASUN, the conference that we play basketball in. He averages 19 points a game. And last night against West Georgia, he went ahead and dropped 24 on us. That guy was playing no games. Jacob O. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
Daggone.
Fun fact, the PA announcer gave it 3 tries when trying to pronounce his last name and still didn't get it right. The coach is just shaking his head at him. So if the PA announcer couldn't do it, I understand how hard it is to PA announce. I've done it a few times in my day. I'm not going to try it either. He's just going to be Jacob O for tonight. But he lived up to the hype. He dropped 24 points, majority of them coming in the second half, in a dominant performance where Lipscomb pulled away right at the tail end of the second half, beating us 76-67. Now, John, you were at the game taking pictures for us. If you haven't seen John's pictures, go to Wolf Sports Network on Instagram to check out all the pictures that he's done for football and men's and women's basketball so far. They're amazing. What are some things you noticed in this game last night?
Other than the fact that Jacob O dropped an absolute bag on us, it was more so in the very beginning. We were playing with these guys. We were beating them in every aspect of the game. But really, it came down to the second half, and they did a lot of mismatches with them, and that's what really allowed them to open up and score. And then really it was just we beat ourselves. And I will say within the final 2 minutes, some of the worst calls I've ever – I'm sorry, not the worst calls. Calls that should have been made were never made. You had someone on someone's neck, and you didn't even make a call for it.
Yeah, I will say this, though. The referees were fair all night. They weren't calling much.
Sure.
But they kept it going on both sides. Neither team was really getting fouls in that game.
Yeah, and you can kind of look at calls or no calls as a factor, but I think the biggest factor is if you look at West Georgia in the first half, they shot 58% from the field.
Yep.
Go to the second half, they shot 32.
You
go and look at Lipscomb, and they shot 44 in the first half, and then 51 in the second half. So you had a complete swap in how the teams were playing from half to half, and that's going to have a big effect on the game, especially when you have the number one scorer in the conference on your side. That's really going to help when it comes to winning these games, especially with big second halves.
You know what that game felt like to me last night? Now I'm going to pivot from basketball in just a second, but when I was watching that game, the only thing I could think of was at halftime in Space Jam. 1, not 2. We don't talk about 2. When the Monstars win, they've been dominating the whole first half, but the game was still in reach. And MJ gave the Toon Squad MJ special stuff. Now, I don't know what might have been in that bottle MJ gave them. Maybe it was some of his essence. Maybe it was just water. But whatever it was, it took the Toon Squad to the next level, and MJ took off with him. That's exactly how this Lipscomb team was last night. They were devoid of life in the first half, but still kept it kind of close, and then ran away with it in the second. But moving on, Carly, do you have some news about our UWG women's softball team?
Oh, yes. Super exciting for our Wolves softball team. They play their inaugural Division I game tomorrow. It's their first D1 game. Super excited. They have 4 games this weekend, 2 doubleheaders. They play Drexel, Gardner-Webb, Howard, and Gardner-Webb again. I'm super excited about this team. We got a lot of D1 transfers as well during this off-season period. We got girls from Appalachian State, South Alabama, and Georgia Southern. So 3 really big softball schools, so I'm really excited to see this team. And it's head coach Christy Burton's 3rd season here, and from the last 2 seasons, we've seen major improvement, so I'm really excited about this Wolves team.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, because I know my first year here, the softball team was really nothing to write home about. But then last year, while they still finished below 500, their games were very entertaining, and they were really involved. I shouldn't say involved. A lot of their games were very competitive overall. Now, there were some against the bigger schools that just got away from them. That's just going to happen sometimes when you're not as talented. But like you said, Carly, this team has really made big strides year in and year out. So now year 3 under this head coach, I'm really expecting a very entertaining product. I know I'll be at a lot of the games doing play-by-play for some of them. If you didn't know, here at Wolf Sports Network, we do offer play-by-play for UWG baseball and softball this offseason. So, not this offseason, this upcoming season. So be sure to tune in. First game's on February 14th. Go to wolfsportsnetwork.com, hit that play button, and listen to some live play-by-play of UWG baseball and softball. It's going to be great. It won't just be people from Sports Pack. It'll be people from all over the station. You don't want to miss out on that. And another thing I bet you wish you didn't miss out on was yesterday. West Georgia, before the basketball game, at 7 o'clock, at 5 p.m., still in the Coliseum, they had a National Signing Day celebration where the entire football staff, led by head coach Joel Taylor, came up on a stage and literally went through every single player that signed to play for West Georgia. Over 40 players, transfer portal, and high school recruiting included.
That's awesome.
Dude, they went through everybody. And this class had some really big-time, highly touted recruits on it. A couple 3-stars committed. There was a guy that committed, I want to say he played safety. He committed to West Georgia over Virginia Tech. We had some people who had NFL roots, a guy whose dad played in the NFL.
TJ Lester?
Yeah, TJ Lester. They went through and played everybody's tape. State champions from Milton, transfers from schools like Coastal Carolina, schools all over.
We got a guy from Nebraska.
Dude, exactly. An offensive lineman from Nebraska. He comes in like 6'6", 270, something crazy like that. And that's what really stood out to me. I'm glad you mentioned him, because with this past year's West Georgia team, they were really undersized and lacked depth at offensive line. But one thing that they showed me last night at that event was that they really took that personally. Because the biggest upgrade, the biggest haul of players they brought in was along the offensive line and the defensive line.
Trenches,
getting bigger, stronger, and longer with things you can't teach. Size and length. I mean, they just went out and got guys. They went out and got dogs, people that are proven. There was a transfer offensive lineman that's coming over from Ole Miss. I mean, there are people coming over from everywhere. A guy that played at Marshall who had to practice against big-time draft prospect this year's draft, Mike Green, day in and day out, and also went on the road and played Ohio State this past season. So they're bringing in size, speed, and experience, and I'm extremely excited going into this year's football season. It's going to be big time. I wasn't that excited before last night, but after seeing all these new players, added on to the talent that we already have, one of the best receiver rooms in the ASUN Conference, man, I am extremely excited for this football season. Now stay tuned, because when we get back, we're going to do a full Super Bowl game breakdown, let you know everything you need to know about the big game, and we're also going to dive into this ridiculous NBA trade deadline. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. This is Sports Pack on Wolf Sports Network.
You are listening to Sports Pack every Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7, only on Wolf Sports Network. Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports Network? Yeah! Well, I have some good news for you, because you can join us. Woohoo! So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now. Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports Pack.
I'm feeling great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
Sports fans, are you looking for a show where you can see other sports fans sharing in your misery and excitement? Then Sports Out of Pocket is for you, because we're fans too, and we experience our highs.
Super DeJean is not a safety. He's just a corner who will lock down your number one.
And our lows.
Trayshawn Ward. Screw you, buddy. You were on our team last year, and you gave us no mercy, okay?
So join us every Wednesday at 5 to cheer and boo along with us, only on Wolf Sports Network. Wolf Sports Network is going to have you covered with content for every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Sports Pack is bringing you all the news in the sports world today on Mondays and Thursdays at 6. Sports Out of Pocket is bringing you sports commentary with a comedic twist on Wednesdays at 5. And sit back and relax and grab your favorite snack, because Triple Threat is bringing you the chill content on Fridays at 11. And we have a brand new show coming to Wolf Sports Network, The Playbook, where they talk about everything going on in the college sports world, on Tuesdays at 6. So make sure you're tuning in Monday through Friday for all the content Wolf Sports Network is bringing you this semester.
In a recent survey, almost 53% of full-time college students ages 18 to 22 drank alcohol in the past month. Can you believe that?
That is bonkers.
Dude, it's wild, right? I
Who lets this happen?
I read that survey last night. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined forces with Wolf Sports Network and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign, reminding you that there is no drinking, absolutely zero drinking under the age of 21, to never drink and drive, even if it's only one beer, and add food and water when you drink so you don't end up texting your ex. I can tell you right now, hardly anything good ever comes of that. Sometimes
it's not smart.
Sometimes something good might come of it, but majority of the time it won't. Faculty will not take hangovers as excuses.
Nope.
Know your limits. In the NFL, only one thing matters: chasing a dynasty. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And we are on the brink of potentially watching one of the greatest dynasties in the history of the NFL. We have never seen a team three-peat. And the Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid-led Kansas City Chiefs are one game away from completing the three-peat, starting with their Super Bowl win against the Philadelphia Eagles, last year's win against the San Francisco 49ers, and they have the chance to go full circle and complete the three-peat by taking down the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl for the second time. Now listen, before we get started, you might be looking around the table and like, wait a minute, Carly and the guy in the corner just swapped spots. That's because that's exactly what happened. My guy Philip Walton is here with us right now, making his Sports Pack debut. So you know what, Philip? Since it's your first time at the table with us, I want to start with you.
All right.
What are some key things you are looking for going into the Super Bowl game that could sway it in either the Chiefs' way or the Eagles' way?
I think it's pretty simple, really. To be honest, yeah, I'm tall. I think it's pretty simple. I think it's really just the Eagles' rushing attack and Patrick Mahomes' ability to change the game. I mean, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts isn't going to do much. If he throws for over 175, I'd be surprised, honestly. It's going to be a read option type game against the Chiefs, and if Chris Jones can make plays, if Karlaftis can make plays, I think as long as they can hold the Eagles to say under 220, 230 rushing, I think they've got a pretty good shot.
That's a tall task, though.
Yeah,
I understand Chris Jones has gone into beast mode every single year that the Chiefs have made it to the playoffs, and especially the Super Bowl. He really cuts it on. Yep. But do you think he'll be able to limit, like him and that D-line with Karl Loftus will be able to limit this rushing attack?
I think they'll be able to limit more than most teams can. I don't know about completely, though. It's impossible to limit Saquon completely. He's going to have at least 100. But if you can limit him to 150 or below, I think they've got a good shot.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think if Philadelphia wants to win this game, they're going to have to do what I said on Monday. They're going to have to stick to what got them there.
Right.
Because I think Kansas City, they're no stranger to the Super Bowl at this point. They're walking in there ready. They know exactly what they need to do to win, and they're going to try their best to execute like that. And I think Philadelphia is going to be that team that's like, all right, oh crap, we're in the Super Bowl. We got to mix it up. We got to do something different. But if Philadelphia wants to win this game, they're going to have to give the ball to Saquon and keep Jalen Hurts in a position to where when he passes the ball, it's not because they have to. Right. It's because they want to. If they can keep themselves in that position, then Philadelphia could have a really, really good shot to win this game.
Yeah, I'll say it's not that you want to limit Saquon as much, but with that dominant offensive line the Eagles have, it's going to be a hard thing to do. It's not that the Chiefs have a very good defensive line, but really I don't think it's not as good as the Eagles' defensive line, and I think it's going to be really hard to limit Saquon. And what you're saying, stick to what you've been doing the whole season. You've seen it happen before. Why would you change what's been your success for the whole season? Make sure he runs the ball and just work in what you need to work in. I mean, you made the changes at your coordinators this year, and it's clearly worked. So, and the way I also look at it as well, I know you're talking about saying like, oh crap, we're in the Super Bowl, we got to change it up. At the end of the day, a lot of those guys, a good bit of those guys are still on that team that lost Super Bowl to the Chiefs. Yeah. So to them, it's, hey, we got to get our get back. Let's go win this thing. Let's go prove something. Let's go and do it.
But here's the thing, John. That's what's so funny about it, because I was just thinking about that exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is basically the exact same team, just adding Saquon Barkley and removing Jason Kelce that lost to the Chiefs the first time in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But this Eagles team plays a completely different brand of ball.
Yeah.
They made it to the Super Bowl still off great defense, yes, but mainly on the arm of Jalen Hurts, the arm and the legs of Jalen Hurts. If I had a vote for the MVP that season, I would have voted for Jalen Hurts. Mahomes ended up winning it, but Jalen Hurts had a fantastic season. And even in that Super Bowl, yeah, they still ran the ball decently well, but they were just bombs away, taking shots down the field with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. So it's really not going to be a direct get-back kind of game because for some reason they just don't play the same. Well, I understand why they don't play the same, because they have Saquon.
Yes.
But Jalen Hurts over these past 2 seasons, even this year, just Xing out last week's game against the Commanders, he hasn't been that same caliber of quarterback. He hasn't been able to you haven't just been able to have him bear the burden. You're going to throw 35 passes this game, suck it up and be ready for it.
Yeah.
Back then, he would have been up to the challenge. But this year's Jalen Hurts just isn't the same. So will they devolve back into it, or will they stay on Saquon even when the going gets tough?
Man, that's a really good question. I think that you could still see the same Jalen Hurts you saw back then, but I see what you're saying. It's different management here, and that's a really tough question. I think Jalen Hurts could still get it done. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to put his big boy pants on and prove that he's the guy. Like, Philly's not going to be too happy if he goes out there and just doesn't play good, and they have to give it to Saquon.
Right.
For both sides, for the rushing attack and for the passing attack, it's going to have to be because you want to, not because you have to. That's how both of those are going to succeed.
Yeah, I completely understand. Wait, Phil, did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, with Jalen, I mean, he kind of just came off an injury, too, at the end of the year.
That is
like,
true.
you saw, like, the game after he came back from the injury, he had, I think it was less than 20 passing attempts, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And so they ran the ball to Saquon. They saw, oh, well, this is working, and they just kept doing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. They might just continue with that. But at the same time, we don't know Jalen Hurts' health. Nobody does, really. Mm-hmm. So
that's very true.
We'll see if he can throw like that.
That's very true. I'd love it if he was able to, because watching Jalen Hurts that original Super Bowl year was incredible. That's one of the most entertaining Super Bowls I've had the privilege of sitting down and watching. I don't count the Falcons Super Bowl because I wasn't entertained. I was heartbroken. I cried that night. And outside of that, my favorite Super Bowl to just straight up watch was the Patriots and Eagles when it was Nick Foles versus Tom Brady.
That was such a good Super Bowl.
That was like the most entertaining Super Bowl I've ever seen.
The Philly special, dude. Man, oh my goodness.
Then Tom Brady tried to run the exact same play and dropped it. It was. Yeah. I remember jumping off my couch when that happened. I was so happy. Prime Richard Reed, Tom Brady hate. Now I argue in Tom Brady's defense a lot of the times. But going back to this year's Super Bowl, the game within the game that I'm watching is the Philly defense versus the Chiefs offense. Because when I'm looking at it, the main thing is, yes, Philly has the number 1 rated defense in the NFL. But when going against Patrick Mahomes, he has a way of just shifting things. Out of nowhere, your defense gap integrity isn't as strong. For some reason, your top corner just cannot hold up against Travis Kelce anymore. I don't know what it is, but now, what's the other tight end they had for a long time? He was
Tony Gonzalez.
No. Travis Kelce's backup. The other tight end.
Oh my God.
That is one.
Doesn't matter. Richard. But for some reason, he's just breaking open downfield.
Yeah.
So like things just change when you play against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So if I'm looking at the Eagles defense here, I'm like, this is your game to lose at this point, because this Chiefs offense is not as diverse as it's been the past few years. They don't have just a standout weapon anymore. Travis Kelce has not been a top 5 tight end in the NFL this year. You finally see his regression with age. A lot of people thinking he's going to retire after this, saying we're going to need a vintage Travis Kelce performance in this Super Bowl for him to win. But he hasn't had a vintage Travis Kelce performance all season. Like he's been a shell of himself. You can see the regression. So if you're the Eagles defense, don't do too much.
Yeah.
Look at this as a regular game.
Yeah.
Keep Patrick Mahomes contained. Let your defensive line, allow them Georgia boys, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, keep them contained. Keep Patrick Mahomes in the pocket. Do not let him create magic, because if you can keep him contained, that secondary, I'd argue, is one of the best secondaries in the league, led by Darius Slay, but equipped with 2 rookie corners in Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell that have been having outstanding seasons. If you can keep Patrick Mahomes contained in the pocket, do not let him create on the fly, I really feel like Philly's defense has an advantage in this game.
Yeah, if they let the pocket break down and they let Mahomes go and do what Mahomes does, the Eagles defense is cooked. Because the second Mahomes gets in an uncomfortable situation, it seems that he is the most comfortable. It's when he can make plays that just make your jaw drop and that make him Patrick Mahomes. So the Eagles, like we've just been saying, just look at it like a regular game. Don't overthink it. It's just a Super Bowl, You've been dreaming about winning this game since you were a kid. Don't overthink it, and just go out there and play football. Play a good game of football, and you got a shot.
Yeah, pretty much. If they just stick to what they've been doing all year, and that brings us full circle back to the Saquon Barkley conversation. It's the same thing with this Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense is probably the primary reason why they're sitting at 15-1 right now.
Yeah.
Because their offense has not been as explosive. Mahomes hasn't really had a vintage Mahomes year. Seems like he may have taken a step back some, largely because he lost a lot of receivers.
The second half, bro. You got to week 11, and I don't think he's thrown a pick for a little bit.
He was leading the league in picks for a while, but you're right. He has kind of cut it back on. And a lot of that I'd contribute to DeAndre Hopkins being added to the team.
Yes.
And also
that was a huge addition.
Exactly. And also Marquise Brown coming back off the injury report.
And Worthy playing so well.
Yeah.
Worthy's been amazing.
Exactly. He's been great. With the additions of DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown, Worthy's really taking his game to the next level because he's not the primary focus anymore. So y'all are right. The offense has improved a lot, but it still isn't what we're used to seeing from them. But they've been a lot better in the playoffs.
Well, talking about the wide receivers with the Chiefs, obviously you've seen Xavier Worthy stepped up. He's a rookie. He's a speedster. That's a great for him, because you lost Rashee Rice this year. You lost Mecole Hardman, who won you the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
Sky Moore, I don't know how much he contributes to the team.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, but I say, but
he's
still,
there.
Yeah, they added the pieces back, and so they've stepped up in a sense. But I'm also wondering, how well will that Philadelphia defense do against those wide receivers?
Right, that's definitely going to be a challenge. But I feel like the Eagles secondary is well equipped to do it.
I agree.
But where I was going with this is the Chiefs' defensive line. That's what it comes down to. We've seen them limit proficient running attacks throughout the season. Week 1, now look, it was week 1, take it for a grain of salt. The Ravens lost to the Raiders in week 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But they limited Derrick Henry. Can you do the same thing with Saquon? Because we saw them earlier in the season when the Eagles were at home and played against the Ravens. The Ravens kept Saquon hemmed in for a while, but they kept going, kept pounding the rock, kept going at it. 4 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards. Every now and again they break a 13. And all of a sudden the lid got blown off and he broke a 45-yard touchdown. Will the Eagles defensive line be able to take the constant pounding from Saquon Barkley and that Eagles offensive line? That's really what I'm watching this game.
Dude, Chris Jones is going to have one tough challenge because,
we
know he's a dog. You put him at D tackle, and he's going to stop just about anybody that goes his way.
Team him every time.
But Saquon Barkley going over and over, he's gonna have a 75-yard rushing touchdown. He just does it.
Behind the best offensive line in football, it's how do you stop that?
And can you apply pressure to Jalen Hurts as well?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
Right.
That's
they will a little bit. Chris Jones always gets some pressure.
Yeah, Chris
and
Jones
Karlaftis
is
a dog. Everybody forgets about Karlaftis. Karlaftis off the edge.
They really do.
He's really good.
But that's the thing. Will you be able to get consistent pressure because of how great that offensive line is? Yeah. That's what's so tricky about it, because you're going to be sitting here worried about Saquon all the time. Then, boom, hard play action. Jalen Hurts rolls out. Now you have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown screaming wide open down the field.
That's
Can
another
your
thing.
defensive backs hold up? Because now you have safeties coming down to the box to try to stop Saquon. This Philly team's a really tricky team.
They casually got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, too.
Yeah, those two really good receivers.
Don't forget about that.
I mean, the Rams got really good pressure, though. I mean, if the Rams can do it, I bet the Chiefs can do it.
They got Jared Verse, baby.
Jared Verse, Byron Young, they both got pressure.
Fisk.
I think Chris Jones can get pressure,
The Rams did get very consistent pressure.
Yeah.
You are right about that, Philip. That's a very good point. Now, we're going to revisit the Super Bowl later in the show, but right now, I don't know if you forgot, but today is the NBA trade deadline. And, man, stuff's been going down.
It's been wild.
Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Baby, let's talk some NBA. Now, look, we got to start where we left off on Monday's show. Now, on Monday's show, obviously, we dove into the Luka Doncic-Anthony Davis trade, talking about who we think might have won this trade now in the long run. We all pretty much came to a general agreement that the Mavericks might have won right now because they look like they're in more of a position to win. Well, some people didn't agree with me. Philip just made a face here.
Maybe.
You don't agree with that, Philip? You don't think
Dallas Mavericks? Luka's bones seem to have mended ever since he got to L.A., so I don't know. We'll see.
Well, yeah, we were just talking about it. We're like, maybe Dallas has won right now, but L.A. has won in the long run. But I made the argument that I didn't think the Lakers were well equipped enough to win right now, just having Luka and LeBron and no real size and defensive presence down low.
Yeah.
I think Rob Pelinka and the Lakers might have listened to him, man.
Yeah, I think they were too.
Because they just went out and traded Dalton Connect, last year's superstar from the NCAA tournament, to the Charlotte Hornets and got the size they needed. Schrader, I want to start with you. You were just talking about how huge it was, and it was big. It was very big. That's what she said. So, look, walk us through that trade, man. What did the Lakers just do?
Yeah, so the Lakers, they went out and they traded Dalton Connect and Cam Reddish. And I'm not the biggest NBA guy anymore. I used to be when I was in middle school. But I remember Cam Reddish at Duke. And I remember him being an absolute
drafted to the Hawks originally.
Dog. Yeah, he was at the Hawks. And I don't really know what he did in the NBA. So I don't know how much he brings to the Hornets, but I know the Hornets are struggling and they're really trying to get a young core around LaMelo Ball, even though he's not very old. But Mark Williams is big. I mean, he's a center. They needed the front court, right?
With a 9'9" wingspan.
That is a lot.
Isn't it longer than Wimby's? Huh? I heard it was longer than Wimby's, like barely.
9'9"?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's longer than Wimby's or not, but they're both packing heat.
That's insane. But like, this is huge for the Lakers because the concern that we've all had is that the Lakers traded Anthony Davis. Like, yes, they got Luka, but they took their front court, they took the defense that they have on that team, and they shipped them away. Bringing in Mark Williams is huge because it says, okay, we fixed this. We at least patched this problem. So now you look at the Lakers, and they could be a contender.
Right.
Like, they could go from where they're going to have to put up 150 a game if they want to win to now it's looking a little more manageable because of Mark Williams. So this is a big, big trade for the Lakers.
I mean, Mark Williams is younger than Dalton Connect. I feel like people don't really know that.
Dalton Connect was in college for like 18 years.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's freaking out. They're like, "Oh no, we're getting rid of our young core." You got a younger dude, and it's not that big a deal. So I mean, I think it was a great trade, especially defensively.
Oh yeah, dude, that's going to make a huge difference defensively.
If Jackson Hayes is your starting center, you might as well drop out. Yeah, there's no point. That is ridiculous.
Right, and then they found a way to keep Jackson Hayes. Now he'll be coming off the bench as well. Now he's a good guy to just have this rotation. Super athletic, high flyer, and like you said, he can still play big. Yeah. You just don't want him as your starting and only big man.
Yeah.
But now they added Mark Williams, who, like you said, is younger than Dalton Connect. Really physical defensively, big, long guy, can get you the boards. Like I said, is very tenacious defensively. And you still found a way to keep LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves. Those three scorers right there, dude, that right there is a ridiculous big three in LA, and they will be able to score and now defend a little bit better with anybody in the NBA. But that wasn't the only trade that went down today. The Atlanta Hawks, baby. The hometown Atlanta Hawks put together a couple trades today.
Just a couple.
But their second trade was one with the LA Clippers, bringing in Terrence Mann and Bones Highland.
What a name.
For Bogdanovich and 3 count them, 1, 2, 3 second-round picks. That wasn't the only trade they made. The Hawks have made a couple moves today that have left a lot of Hawks fans kind of like, I don't really know how to feel about it. Did our roster really get much better? Philip, you said you know how to feel about it. Please walk us through how you're feeling right now.
Not good. I mean, those are the most it's the exact thing you expect from the Hawks. It's like I want to be 41-41 by the end of the season. Let's do this. Let's
can we really be 41-41?
Can we really? Let's do it. Like, oh my God, Karis LeVert, really? Yep. Yes. Let's trade DeAndre Hunter, who's having a career year, for 30-year-old Georges Niang. In other words, nobody. Yep. And 3 second-round picks. Then let's flip the 3 second-round picks for a couple role players.
That's Atlanta Hawks basketball, brother.
Yeah. Cleaning house, baby. Cleaning house.
That is Atlanta Hawks basketball. I mean, I didn't expect too much more. Like, a lot of people were talking about it, and like they were pretty upset. And I was like, I mean, man, what'd you expect? Did you really expect the Hawks to go out and get LeBron James?
Paul George.
I mean, yeah, I would have loved it.
I wouldn't want Paul George if I was a Hawks fan.
You got to do something.
It's better than getting Karis LeVert.
Either blow it up or go all
Paul
in.
George ain't even doing anything right now. He's riding on the bench.
I will take a 6 seed getting swept. Yeah, I want anything.
Better than being 500 in the NBA. I mean,
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's rough.
Either blow it up or go all in. You got to do one of the two.
Yeah, and it's at the point where the Hawks really do need to make a decision, because being consistently mediocre, I'd rather just be outright bad than just being consistently mediocre. I mean, that's just got to be demoralizing.
I mean, then you can just watch Trey for fun. Like,
right,
that's what it is if you're bad. You just watch for fun.
It's like being a Charlotte fan.
Yeah,
they just come on the game, listen to those announcers scream, and watch LaMelo.
Watch LaMelo throw it off the backboard.
Exactly. Like, it's a fun brand of basketball to watch. But the way the Hawks are operating, it's always giving fans just enough hope to keep tuning in, like, okay, we really might win this game. Then you find a way to lose it, like 156 to 148. They always score a lot. Very entertaining basketball. People are always going to watch because how close the games are. But they can just never close the gap. And like Philip said, end up being like 42-41 somehow.
Yep.
And have we heard anything about Zach Grushev or whatever his last name is that was picked number 1 overall?
Richard Shaw or something?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been playing.
Y'all picked the worst year to get the number 1 pick.
Dude, we didn't pick it. The NBA did.
Well,
one year before the Cooper flag.
That's what I'm saying. Like just the luck of y'all's franchise.
So
to just
tragic.
And that right there is my whole point. I'm not here to bash Zach. I mean, he's developing. It's going to take time. We knew that when they drafted him. Exactly. He's young. It's going to take some time for him to develop. Hopefully, he turns into another Luka Doncic clone. That would be beautiful.
No.
But, I mean, it just sums up the Hawks. Constantly mediocre. Once they get the number 1 overall pick, get it the year before the Cooper flag year.
Yep.
And the year after the Victor Wembanyama year.
Yep.
That right there sums up Atlanta Hawks basketball. Let's check in again in 3.5 years and see where we're sitting at. Quick reminder, Dine West will soon introduce new stations, including a ramen station and a Fuel for Performance nutrient station as well in West Commons Dining Hall. These additions are designed to provide more choices and cater to different nutritional needs. More information is located at UWG_Dine_West on Instagram. Now stay tuned, because when we get back, we're going to dive into some more sports news and give our Super Bowl picks. You do not want to miss it. This is Sports Pack on Wolf Sports Network.
Don't worry, there's a lot going on in the sports world. Catch Sports Pack on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. on Wolf Sports Network for all the sports updates you need. The Wolves play here.
Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports Network? Yeah! Well, I have some good news for you, because you can join us. Woohoo! So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through the WIT program right now. Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports
I'm feeling
Pack.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
It's a brand new season, and you know what that means. A brand new series.
Kool-Aid Jackson Cook.
Mark my words, by the end of his career, Nolan Arenado will be better than Chipper Jones.
Jackson Cook.
New short series, exclusively on Wolf Sports Network YouTube.
Kool-Aid Jackson Cook.
Make sure to like and follow on all socials for more content.
It's a tale as old as time. All good things must come to an end. But this final ride is going to be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
More legendary than this.
Is this the dagger?
And this.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown!
So be sure to listen to Triple Threat every Friday starting at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Wolf Sports Network is going to have you covered with content for every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Sports Pack is bringing you all the news in the sports world today on Mondays and Thursdays at 6. Sports Out of Pocket is bringing you sports commentary with a comedic twist on Wednesdays at 5. And sit back and relax and grab your favorite snack because Triple Threat is bringing you the chill content on Fridays at 11. And we have a brand new show coming to Wolf Sports Network, The Playbook, where they talk about everything going on in the college sports world on Tuesdays at 6. So make sure you're tuning in Monday through Friday for all the content Wolf Sports Network is bringing you this semester.
The Dodgers introducing Shohei Ohtani after signing him to a record-breaking contract.
Nick Saban is retiring.
Breaking news on Sports Pack. So not breaking news because, Richard did a normal Richard thing, forgetting something important. So Jimmy Butler.
I'll be moving fast sometimes.
Okay.
Slow down a little bit.
So we got some news with Jimmy Butler. Schrader, tell us about it.
Yeah, so as a Heat fan, I don't watch much basketball, but I do like the Heat, and this was a big trade. We traded Jimmy Butler, who was the guy in South Beach, the guy that epitomized Heat culture, and he meant a lot to the locker room. However, this season he kind of destroyed the locker room in a sense. He just wasn't what he used to be, and you can just really wasn't. So we traded him to Golden State, got Kyle Anderson, PJ Tucker, Andrew Wiggins, and a first-round pick, sent some other people elsewhere. But in short, because I want to kick it back for sports news, great trade for the Heat. I don't know what the Warriors were doing extending Jimmy Butler. 2 years, $121 million for an old guy.
$121 million?
I don't make the decisions over there.
Can they sign me next?
I mean, for real, bro. I'll shoot some threes. Don't mean I'll make them, but you can send me over there. But, yeah, good haul for the Heat, so take it away.
Yes, so yesterday was National Girls and Women in Sports Day, so I did want to highlight some things in the female sports world. First off, the NCAA softball opening day for D1 is today, so we got a lot of good games going on, but specifically the big question around the softball D1 world is, will Oklahoma continue their dynasty and bring home their 4th title in a row? I think that's absolutely insane. Like, forget the Chiefs and the dynasty that they're so-called building. Let's talk about Oklahoma.
Yeah, you're right. Oklahoma softball has been insane the past few years, to say the least. I won't say let's forget about the Chiefs, so we are going to talk about them a little more after this segment. But you're right. There is another dynasty already going on, a team that's already three-peated, and that is the Oklahoma softball team. And, I mean, it's hard to pick against them. I never just want to outright pick against them. But if I do want to give some flowers to one team that could derail this dynasty, that's the UGA Lady Bulldogs. I mean, now look, I am a Georgia fan.
So biased.
But all bias aside, this is a program that has been trending up and up and up year in and year out. They have been getting closer and closer and closer. And, I got a gut feeling that this just might be the year. I can see it right now. UGA versus Oklahoma in the Women's College World Series. And them Georgia Bulldogs coming out on top, sweeping that Sooner stuff off the stage. That right there will be beautiful, man.
See, Richard, you got a little confused there. First of all, we all are kind of doing Oklahoma a disservice. They have won 4 consecutive national titles, which will make it even more impressive when Florida State goes up to Omaha and takes that ring and ends the streak this year.
Do y'all even have a softball team?
Do we have a softball team, brother? We have more of we have a program. We don't have a team. We win championships, baby. We have one of the greatest catches, if not the greatest catch in college softball history. Tell me the last time Georgia won a softball
I was just
title.
shaking my head at John saying, let's not do that.
Let's not go there, brother. Give me Florida State ending the streak this year.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see how all that will work, especially with Texas and Oklahoma now being in the SEC. Definitely interested to see how Oklahoma...
huge matchup every time.
Right, how they deal with this more SEC matchups. But moving on, the UFC 312 is also this Saturday in Sydney, Australia, which is super cool. We got a good men's and women's matchup, but I specifically want to highlight the women's matchup between Weili of China versus Suarez of the USA. So Tatiana Suarez has a really cool story. She started off wrestling and back in 2013 she was training for the Olympic Games, and she ended up finding out that she had a cancerous thyroid. And your thyroid is basically what controls like your metabolism, which clearly super important for an athlete. So she had to go through all of the difficult things that cancer comes with. But after 18 months, she became cancer-free, and then she was no longer able to compete for an Olympic gold. But so then like all her coaches were like, oh, you need to transfer to like fighting and things like that. So she did, and she's been training for so long, and she's had so many incredible wins, and now she has the chance for a UFC gold, which I think is super cool. I'm actually super excited to see how that will work.
Like, see, I didn't even know that story before today, so I'm definitely going to be rooting for her this upcoming weekend. I'm really starting to get into the UFC more and more because it's just more pure than boxing is right now. It's more consistent. You get the guys you want to see. You get the matchups that you want to see pretty much month in and month out because they're always doing events. Yeah. And, man, they're just doing a great job right there because the problem with boxing right now, while you still get good matches every now and again, promoters run the sport. And the biggest events you're going to get nowadays is Jake Paul beating up a 78-year-old Mike Tyson. Now, Mike Tyson joined Sports Pack and hyping up that fight, and I really appreciate him for doing that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that promoters are ruining the sport of boxing. So when I look over there at what's happening in the UFC world, storylines like that, pure competition month in and month out when they have these events, I can't help but say I love it, man. I love what the UFC's building out there, and it's super entertaining. Sometimes I can't watch it. It gets a little rough, but I mean, of course, it's the Ultimate Fighting Championships, but UFC's great nonetheless.
I mean, like, the story of the UFC itself is crazy, too, because Dana White, he and, I forget the brothers that he bought it with, they bought that thing for, like, 20 grand, and then they turned it into a multi-billion dollar. Like, it just shows the businessman that Dana White is and the promoter, because he's still kind of at the forefront of that
he's one of their lead
organization.
commentators.
He is, and so it's huge to see the growth not only of that organization but of the sport itself through the UFC has been pretty cool.
Go for it.
Well, that's all the fun Women's in Sports Day content I have for you guys. Now let's make some Super Bowl picks.
Run that stage back, Shawty. In the NFL, only one thing matters. Chasing a dynasty. I had to hear it one more time. I needed to get my blood flowing once again. Because right there, chasing a dynasty is what's important in the NFL.
Get 'em, Richard.
And like I said earlier in the show, the Chiefs are one game away. Now, earlier in the show, if you weren't here, we gave the keys to the game. Matchups within the matchups. The Eagles defensive line versus the Chiefs O-line. Vice versa. The receivers versus the DBs. We talked about all of it. If you missed it, rewind back real quick. Listen to it. It was the second segment, probably about, 15 so minutes in. Go back, check it out. My guy Philip was on there for it. And because of that, I'm going to bring Philip back over here real quick. Philip, come on, take my mic for a second. Because I forgot to throw it to you and let you make your Super Bowl pick earlier. So, Philip, I'm going to let you lead us off. Who do you have winning this year's Super Bowl and why?
I got the Chiefs, the refs. No, I'm joking. I've got the Chiefs just because of Mahomes, to be honest. I don't want to be like a Mahomes super fan or something.
Glazer?
But it's Mahomes, though. I mean, I think Saquon's going to have a lot of good yards, and it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think Mahomes is going to be able to put up 34 or so. And as long as they could put up 30, I think, not even joking, I think the refs are going to help him out enough to let 30 or more give
So
him
what's
the
the score prediction?
Yeah.
I would say like 31-27.
Okay.
Pretty close
Okay.
game, but I think the Chiefs are going to get it done.
You heard from Philip first. He said you had to be a fool to bet against Patrick Mahomes. So how many fools do we have present at this table? And in the live chat, leave your picks down there. We want to see who y'all are rolling with. How many fools do we have at this table? Carly, I'm going to start with you. Are you a fool according to Philip's scale?
No, I don't think I am. But I am going to go a different way.
Yes.
I have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
Here we go.
I think, like we've said all week and last week leading up to the Super Bowl, if there's a team that's going to knock off the Chiefs, I think it's this Eagles team. I mean, you have Jalen Hurts, you have Saquon Barkley. Like I personally, I mean, I am a Broncos fan, so I do have some bias. I hate the Chiefs.
That's valid.
However, like, the Eagles want revenge from 2 years ago. When I watched that game 2 years ago, I thought the Eagles were robbed. I thought they should have won. And if that happens again, due to the refs and their accusations through this entire season, and just how close calls have been, and the refs have just always turned it in the Chiefs' favor. If that happens again, I will stand on the fact that the Eagles were robbed. However, I do have the Eagles winning. I think they can do it. Yeah.
And you know what, Carly? You do have a valid point. Because a lot of these games throughout the season, now look, the Chiefs are 15-1. But a lot of people are calling it the most Mickey Mouse 15-1 that you'll see this season. Because, what?
15-2.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that Carson Wentz show out.
Man, that game doesn't count. That last game where they lost to the Broncos at the end of the season, that doesn't count. Nobody played. But they had
Nobody watched.
They had an amazing yeah, exactly. Nobody watched. They had an amazing season nonetheless. But when you look at it, people say it's riddled with question marks. What if this happened here? What if the Falcons would have done a little tush push on 4th and 1, got up there and scored a touchdown in the game? They would have lost that game. What if the refs didn't bail them out that game against the Bengals?
Right.
What if
Raiders.
Isaiah Likely's foot wasn't down? What if they really slipped up to the Raiders? There have been times throughout the season where they've come very close and have gotten bailed out by either a late call, a late hit with a roughing the passer that ends up being questioned for months after the fact, like what Carly was just doing a second ago. Because newsflash, she is not the only one complaining about the referees, saying that the Chiefs are getting those same calls Tom Brady and the Patriots used to get. So will their luck run out this Sunday? Carly seems to believe so.
Yeah, I don't have faith in the integrity of this team. Like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, obviously an incredible athlete, but overall with the team and just with how the refs do these late calls and things like that, like, the integrity of this team is just not there for me to believe that they'll win it.
Now, Howley,
Yes,
I'll kick it over to you, John. I feel like I haven't heard your voice in a while.
Yeah,
you've been a little quiet today, man. You've been a little quiet today.
Yeah.
But you know what? You've been holding down over here on the board, getting us through the show smoothly, keeping us on time. I appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
So, John, let us know. Who wins this Super Bowl? Are you rolling with Carly and saying Philly's going to shake things up and prevent the three-peat? Or are you going with Phillip and saying, man, I would be a fool to bet against Patrick Mahomes, the baby GOAT, the future GOAT? Let us know.
Ooh, little future GOAT there, talk. All right, last time this thing was in New Orleans, right? What happened? Classic, right? Absolute classic.
That's when the power went out, right?
Yes, Ravens 49ers. That game shocked me. Awesome. Joe Flacco put on a good show. And you're talking about, this is the three-peat. This is the chance for another huge dynasty. And the fact that why would you bet against Patrick Mahomes? The same thing as why would you bet against Brady in the playoffs? But I am gosh dog tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes win, all right?
Gosh dog tired. You heard it here first.
Just bet it a new saying, baby.
Sports Pack original.
Look, I'm sick and tired of seeing him win. It's not that he can win. I know he's special. He's a great quarterback today. But I'm sick and tired of seeing that man win. I don't want to see all those Swifties run out into the field. I don't want to see any of that. So I'm riding behind the Eagles here. I'm going with the offensive line, that dominant defensive line, and they're going to win 34-28. It's going to come down to the wire, but the Eagles get it done.
Another close game prediction. Very entertaining. Phillip had a close game, and so does John. Now, Schrader, I want to pivot towards you. You have on a Florida State sweater here, nice little quarter zip, but not a quarter zip, a quarter button. I see what you're doing
Fancy
here.
like that.
But those colors are closer to Chiefs colors than Eagles colors, in my so humble opinion. I know your hair is red. I don't know if you dyed it for the Chiefs or if you're just a natural
I came out the room
ginger.
like this.
See, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to assume. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to assume.
Yeah.
You know what they say about
Be
assuming.
respectful. You got this.
So, are you making a bold fashion statement and telling us through your clothing who you're picking for this year's Super Bowl?
I guess you could say that, because you know what? John's over here saying he's tired of watching Patrick Mahomes win. It's always Patrick Mahomes this, Patrick Mahomes that. You know what I'm not tired of? I'm not tired of that smile on Andy Reid's face when they win Super Bowls. When he goes and he gets his cheeseburger after he wins a Super Bowl. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to be bold here. I'm not just going to say the Chiefs are going to win. I think the Chiefs are going to win by 2 possessions.
Oh, wow.
And in a way that doesn't even have the refs really being a factor. I don't think people are going to be looking at the refs at the end of this game. I think that Kansas City is going to come out, and they're going to shock a lot of people, and they're going to win 35-21.
Oh, wow.
That's my bold prediction. I don't do bold predictions very often, but I think that's how it's going to be. It's going to be a storybook ending for Travis Kelce. I think that's just going to be the first three-peat in NFL history, or in Super Bowl history.
So we have, if you haven't been keeping up, we have a divided house here on Sports Pack right now. Carly and John have decided to go with Philly. They're riding with Philadelphia. I know we got a Jackson Voles in the other room watching the show. He's a Philly fan. He has on his Saquon Barkley jersey right now. I know he's over there jumping for joy as high as he can jump. Jackson can't jump up a curb, so not very high. But he's out there jumping for joy nonetheless. And then we've also got Jackson Schrader right here.
Yes, sir.
And Phillip, who's joining us on today's show, making his Sports Pack debut, doing a great job, might I add. Rolling with the Kansas City Chiefs, saying what I've said a few times: you'd be insane to bet against Mahomes.
So
and also, we got a little.
Richard?
We also have a little poll going on the live chat before I get to the rest of it. Put up a poll: who wins the Super Bowl? Click this button for the Chiefs. Click this button for the Eagles. 80% of voters in our live chat are rolling with the Philadelphia Eagles to stop the three-peat. With 20%, if you're not that good at math, going with the Kansas City Chiefs. And before I wrap this whole thing up, a little birdie has told me that there's a dog on TikTok that bounces balls in buckets.
The corgi.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. There's a corgi on
Yes.
TikTok.
He's cool.
And they'll be like, they'll have an Eagles bucket here and a Chiefs bucket here.
Who we got?
And he'll bounce the ball where he thinks the winner's going to be. And the corgi picked the Philadelphia Eagles to get it done.
Cool doesn't mean right.
So taking all those factors into account,
The little corgi.
I am the one tiebreaker. Now I have
What's
on
the
my
decision?
purple
I gotta know.
because I believe the Baltimore Ravens were the best team in football, and I think they
What
should
about
be
the
playing in the
Jets?
Super Bowl. But you know what? They're not. We're not talking about the Jets.
Oh my God.
I got a little drunk on Aaron Rodgers Kool-Aid. I was doing some ayahuasca in my backyard, and I was thinking maybe the Jets are going to take this next step. I went on a darkness
I'm about to
retreat.
say, what retreat did you go on?
I just cut all the lights off in my room. Darkness retreat. And I really thought the Jets were going to do something. But they're not here. There's another team in green here. A team in green that you can argue has the best overall roster, top to bottom, in all of football. The best running back in the land. The best offensive line up front blocking. A top 5 receiver room in the NFL with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And a quarterback who, yes, has had a down year, but at his best, you could argue, is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Led by the number 1 statistical defense in the league, with players littered all over from the best college football program in all the land, the University of Georgia.
He might stand
West
up, y'all.
Georgia ain't there yet,
We'll be there, though.
but they're getting close. Nolan Smith has led the NFL in postseason sacks. 2 rookie corners, and Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, paired up with Reed Blankenship, making the exciting whites in the NFL. They are freaking athletic. They are. Look, man, they're changing the game. They're the Jackie Robinsons of the NFL with white DBs playing at a high level. They are changing the game. But on the other side of the field, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift doing voodoo in the press box, singing about being 18 again. Chris Jones on that defense, like Phillip was mentioning, George Karlaftis, one of the most underrated players in the NFL. Nick Bolton, that linebacker, who I'd argue is the most underrated backer in the NFL. And a secondary led by Trent McDuffie, a top 5 corner in the league, that backs down to no one. When looking at these two teams, it's almost impossible to pick. People say you're crazy if you bet against Mahomes. That's like betting against Brady. But notice, I said that's like betting against Brady. But it's not betting against Tom Brady. Tom Brady will be up there in the announcer's booth talking about the game. But he ain't on that field. Patrick Mahomes is. And I've seen it before, and I think we're going to see it again. The Eagles defense is going to do their very best to limit Patrick Mahomes. You can't stop him, but they're going to limit him. It's going to be a very close game. But I think that Eagles defense will do enough. Get off the field just enough. Contain that Mahomes magic as much as they can. You're going to see breaks every now and again. You're going to see him roll the pocket, make a great throw, keep plays alive, hit Travis Kelce randomly. Somehow he's going to pop open. Things are going to happen. But the Eagles defense is going to do just enough to limit them. That secondary is going to hold up just long enough to where there's nothing down the field, and Mahomes will have to throw it away one time too many. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this year's Super Bowl with the final score of 27-24. It is going to be a very, Very close game. Entertaining. It's not going to be a fist fight. It's not going to be a back alley knife fight. It's going to be a sledgehammer fight. Two juggernauts when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. And I think after all that wreckage, the Philadelphia Eagles will come out of the rubble, reigning supreme, and be this year's Super Bowl champions. You're going to see Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, that one security guard I always see on Twitter. Kevin Hart's going to find his way on the field. Up there on the stage, hoisting the Lombardi Trophy at the end of Sunday night in New Orleans. And there's going to be smiles on everybody's faces. Mine, because I saw a great Super Bowl and great movie trailers. I'm a very big movie guy. I love the Super Bowl commercials. Even if I didn't watch football, I'd still watch Super Bowl for the commercials. Everybody's going to be happy. Except for people in Kansas City, but they can't be too mad. They've won 2 in a row.
Yeah, they've had it pretty good.
And then next year, we're going to see the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl with Myles Garrett and Michael Penix Jr. standing on the stage, hoisting the Lombardi Trophy.
That sounds good to me.
And we're going to be even happier here on Sports Pack.
The better birds?
The better birds, the Atlanta Falcons. Well, that's my pick. You've heard from all of us. Carly and John picked the Eagles. So did I. Phillip and Jackson picked the Chiefs. We'll see what happens Sunday. Stay tuned on our Instagram. We'll have plenty of content coming out covering the Super Bowl. Tune the Triple Threat tomorrow at 11 a.m. They'll be talking about the Super Bowl and much, much, much more here on Wolf Sports Network. And we, here at Sports Pack, will see you again on Monday at 6. Same bat time, same bat channel. Be safe out there, drink responsibly, and go Wolves. Stay blessed.